UNPAVED, Sean Salisbury here to bring an authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, a great NFL analyst, a former NFL quarterback.
To me, Tom Brady is the GOAT because he's done more with less than any player at that position we've ever had.
Hey guys, welcome into UNPAVED. I am Sean Salisbury. I think. I still am. Adam Seg will be along in a second, along with Coach JB. A phenomenal weekend of football. I mean, it may have bored you, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Defensive battle in one, really good defenses, but offensive battles with stars making phenomenal plays in the other. The rematch is set for the last time the Seahawks played the Patriots, and unfortunately, the ending for the Seahawks was the choice not to hand it to Lynch and to throw it in a pick by Malcolm Butler. But we'll get a chance to revisit that in San Francisco in a couple weeks for the Super Bowl. And we got a lot to dive into. A couple things that we will hit today that to guard against that we got to, as a player and when you're a decision maker. The Seattle Seahawks are awfully lucky that a taunting penalty didn't end their Super Bowl hopes. They just are. I have no problem with energy. I have no problem with gamesmanship. I have no problem with playing with enthusiasm, almost past the point of the whistle and at times, as long as you're smart. I get all of it. This isn't a get off my lawn moment. It's just stupid football by a guy who was playing pretty well in the game, and Seattle's defense played pretty damn well. And they've played these two offenses and two defenses in that game were phenomenal all year long. But when you're Woolen and you drop a catch for a pick, and then you decide after a 4th and long with an 11-point lead to run to the sidelines and taunt the opposite sideline because it's selfish, and that's all it is. It's, don't tell me, oh, he's acting on enthusiasm. I don't know the kid from a hole in the wall. I know he's a pretty damn good football player, but that's just selfish look at me stuff. You've got to control that. And if you're moving forward, you won't get many opportunities. And he almost damn near didn't salvage that one last night because the very next play, what does Sean McVay do? And I think it was intentional the whole time. You put your best receiver on him and you attack him and go back and get him, make a little boom stutter, run right by him, and Matthew Stafford makes the play. The trash that you talk on the sidelines to get you a dead ball after 4th down, the play was broken up, and you do that to give them an automatic 1st down, and then they go down and score the very next play. You just can't do it. Well, Sean, it wasn't that big a deal in the big scheme. It could have been, and it was a huge deal because it added stress at the end of a game because 4 points ain't 11. It's just not. And I'm sitting there watching, you can't be that boneheaded to do this. You just friggin' can't. You cannot put your team after a monster play, after you've made a mistake dropping, and they attack you, and you get okey-doked, and boom, run right by you, and then the great catch and score. I know they had to make the great catch score, but you gave them the opportunity to. That ball should have been comfortably. Now you use more clock if you're Seattle rolling down the field with an 11-point lead. You just can't do it. It's selfish, look at me football, and it's stupid. It's low IQ stupidity to sprint over there and intentionally taunt, throw a flag. You just can't help yourself because, well, I don't want to hear its enthusiasm. It's just dumb thinking. And if you're one of those other guys, you go over there and grab him by the doggone back of the jersey and you horse collar his ass on your own team and get his ass over to the other sideline. Almost cost him. That's one thing. And the other side in the early game, not far be it for me to question coaches I respect and think are great, but we've got to get out of the mode of every single time we think that, especially in the weather that they were in. Fourth down, you know what? Pardon my friend, fuck that doggone card that has analytics written all over it all the time. Because guess what analytics doesn't know? What the damn weather is in a game and who's quarterbacking for you and the situation you're in, because you lose a dimension without Bo Nix. Sean Payton knows better. Now, I understand the further you move out, weather like that. We saw missed field goals yesterday, that when you discern to go for it and when you decide, because in the Rams-Seahawks game, I pretty much would have done what McVay did late. You're down 4, you get a score, you want to go for the score to give yourself a chance to go up. Even if you kick a field goal, you're still down 1. Although at the end of the game, a couple completions get you in field goal range. That's where you battle, like, man, that point in there. But we're so caught up in taking points really basically out of your own hands, you think. Because in there, even with that weather, you got to be able to kick somewhat of a chip shot to win. But we get caught up in this have to go for points. And in a game where 13, 10, 7 points was going to be at a premium, had a chance to go up 2 scores and didn't. Both of those situations applied, and both of them were controllable. That's my whole point here. I'm going to bring in Adam Sager. Let me first tell you about Augusta Precious Metals real quick. And this isn't dramatic. I'm trying not to be dramatic, but listen, there's a lot going on, not just weather-wise, but money-wise and debt, like $40 trillion in debt in 2026 in our country. The other day, I'm at the grocery store buying the same stuff I always do, looking at the bill like, come on, man, higher than last month. Same stuff, same thing, again and again and again. Groceries, same bills. And it's been happening year after year now for a handful of years for all of us. Month after month, higher and higher. You start asking yourself, how high can this be? Keep going before it's stopping. And it's not stopping. So what do we do next? Well, that's what worries me really about retirement savings too. Are you doing the right thing by it? It's not just a number on paper. It's what that money can actually buy. Okay, I got this, but can it buy this? Yeah, that becomes a problem. And groceries keep climbing. The bills and the groceries keep climbing. And that same retirement savings doesn't go nearly as far as it used to. And you can have the same balance and still be falling behind. See what I mean there? The value of that dollar, right? And the price of your groceries every single time. That's why a lot of people with real retirement savings are diversifying part of it into physical gold, tangible assets, right there, gold and silver, and they are on the rise. Not to chase returns, just to protect what you've already earned. Don't give up what's already yours. Don't give it back. And that's why Augusta Precious Metals needs to be involved in this. They educate, they teach, and they give you an opportunity to understand exactly what you want to do. I looked into it myself. I was late to the Precious Metals party. I was. No, that's not that big a deal. Well, it is now. And I was late, and I looked into it and diversifying part of it. And Augusta Precious Metals stood out because they educated me first before I got into the mix of the other things that go along with it. No pressure, no scare tactics, just straight education. Listen, precious metals, this stays inside what I'm saying is the IRA and the 401k. There are no taxes, no penalties. So go just straight education from Augusta Precious Metals. So go get the free IRA guide. It's the Gold IRA guide at SeanBuysGold.com. That's SeanBuysGold.com, or text Sean to 35052. In this economy, protecting your position is how you stay in the game. And the game is being played by a lot of people. You don't want Washington, D.C. to control it. Be smart. Go to Augusta Precious Metals. Again, it's SeanBuysGold.com. Educate yourself. Guys, now's the time to jump into gold and silver because it's on the rise. Protect what's already yours without giving it back. Augusta Precious Metals at SeanBuysGold.com. Bring Adam Sager in before we get to JB. Saying, look at games like this, and it's hard to win. It's hard to win in the playoffs, and it's hard to get to a Super Bowl. And I'll tell you what's even tougher is trying to do too much and it's hard to control what you can control or what you can't control out of your bid. You hope you get a little lucky once in a while because there's other dudes on the other team, but you can control looking at a card and going with analytics. I understand feel matters, but the analytics telling you to go for it. Not in that game situation. Sean Payton should have known better, especially with a quarterback who didn't give him 2 dimensions. He had some good things, but he turned it over. And obviously, we're going to get to the costly turnover for Stidham, but that goes with experience. And the other side, when it comes to Woolen, you can't do what he did. You just can't say, because that could have been a disaster. Imagine that guy's offseason if the Rams go win that because of that penalty, the taunting penalty on a 4th down play. And the guy that attacked was right on you when you had him covered and he ran right by your ass. So, interesting stuff. we do get this rematch. I think both of these teams played really good football all year, and they were very consistent. And New England just continues to take care of their business even when their quarterback didn't play great. And on the other side, Sam Darnold's proven you can let go of last year's playoffs. The guy's real, and he played great, and I couldn't be happier for a guy who had to battle this and never once made an excuse along the way.
Yeah, so many storylines coming from the weekend with the Sean Payton decision to go for it on 4th down. Yeah, you have to go up 2 scores early. They knew there was a chance of snow coming. I don't think anybody realized what it was going to turn into that quick towards the end of the game. And then, Sam Darnold, Matt Stafford, what a game. I mean, both guys were outstanding. I mean, that's exactly what you want from a playoff game. 2 teams that know each other so well, battling it out in the NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl. The only thing I'll say is Drake May better play a lot better than he's played, and I know he's faced tough defenses, but he better play a lot better than he's played in these first 3 playoff games, or the Seahawks will destroy the Patriots this time.
There's a thing that stuck out to me, and even though the weather permitted, you needed to do this in that game, in the New England game, Segs, was, and we'll get to JB, is they ran it 38 times, and only 5 of those carries were Travion Henderson. That was a big part. I know weather. There's a fine line, guys. I've played in every kind of weather there is. Wind is the worst. Driving snowstorm where you can't really see yard markers, because especially if it's windy, with the wind, side wind against the wind becomes a problem, and obviously wet, hard deluge. Well, yesterday in that game, snow and the rest of it. So you keep into mind, well, we still can't just run it. We got to mix in play action, but be smart with the football. But for them to run it 38 times, it's rare that you're going to lose any game running it 38 times. And they ran it, I think, 14 more times than Denver did. And they did it with 3 or 4 different bodies. I just was impressed, even though it wasn't overly impressive statistically, the way they went about their business, and the defense just kept bailing them out. Let's bring in JB and get right back to Segs here in a second. It's at @therealcoach_JB on Twitter. You can get his show every single morning, Monday through Friday, and you guys probably tuned in today. We're set, JB. Welcome in, brother. New England and Seattle. One was a lot more fun to watch. The other was a physical beatdown. But one thing that stood out, defenses, when necessary in both games, did what they needed to do to move on. And controllable things were uncontrollable in both these games. In the New England game first, you got a problem with constantly going for it when you can get a 10-point lead. And I love Sean Payton. But there comes a point in time you kind of got to know the room, right, Segs, and read it a little bit. And I thought that was a little overzealous without Bo Nix's ability to use his legs.
Yeah, it was a horrible call. You got to back up in the snow. It's not like you didn't know the weather conditions going into the game. You already knew it. You already knew the weather conditions going into the game, Sean. As a head coach, Belichick's known for knowing and projecting and forward thinking every scenario. Sean Payton, a Super Bowl winning champ, should have known that it was going to snow before the half, and you have a backup who hasn't thrown a football in a competitive game in 351 calendar days. So why would you not go up 10-0? Why would you not take a 2-score lead into half? We know, Sean, that if you go up 2 scores, it changes the offensive mentality, and especially a second-year guy in Drake May. Maybe he panics. Maybe he throws a pickup down 2 scores. But instead, you stop him, and now you have the momentum, and you're only down a score, and everything's back to status quo on the sideline of the New England Patriots. But 2 scores in the snow, I think you press a little bit in your New England. And
he was already pressing. I mean, the weather itself, JB, what was he? He completed under 50% of his passes. And what happens, too, is if you're on the other sideline, Josh McDaniels, you start to think, well, we'd love to run it and keep running it. But then there comes a point in time on 3rd and 4, you don't run it, you throw it, and it doesn't add up to 38 runs and controlling a game. Sean Payton, while he's got some mad scientists in him, JB, there comes a point in time, we all say it to ourselves, we got to get out of our own way. Sean Payton's brilliance led to a situation that should have been controlled better. I thought that take those points. We may not get to 2 touchdowns in this game, and I'll be damned. And they didn't. Those were huge points. Then led to some errors by Stidham, and trying to do too much. And JB, going into this game, I think I told you this. I know I said it on our show last week. Is that what happens as a backup? That sometimes you get into it. It's a play you feel like you got to do with the other cat before you did. Instead of doing what you do, You try to do what somebody else does, and guess what happens? Backed up, trying to be a hero. Don't to swallow that ball and deal with it. Do something else with it. You can't put your team in that position. And unfortunately, that's just part of the experience. And when we ask if experience is over or underrated, it's highly underrated in these moments, as you well know. You've coached in big moments, and it does matter. It just does, to be able to calm your nerves.
You put the quarterback Stidham in that scenario. I don't blame the picks, the turnovers at all on him. I blame it on Sean Payton. That game's 10-0, and you never know what New England does. The guy was 10 completions throughout the game, and you would have been up 10-0. You were forcing him to throw
at home.
So you're forcing him to throw even more against that defense, which is lights out, and the doubt starts to set in down 2 scores. And now you back to 0-0 basically when it was 7-0, because now all we need is an opportunistic play to happen, and that's what happened. And then they ended up tying it up, and then it was anyone's ball game. It should have been 10-0 the whole time. That was a bad mistake. I think McVay did the same thing. I would have took the field goal down 4 to go down 1, because they lost a minute and a half going for it on 4th. When in theory, if you just kick the field goal, you save a minute and a half. There's 5 minutes left in that Rams game, and you're down 1. And who knows?
2 timeouts, right?
Yeah.
JB, they had 2 timeouts. He pulled the red flag out, which would have taken them, if they missed it, down to 0, because he called the 30-second quick timeout. But he didn't throw the red flag, and then they had to use one more timeout down the stretch. I'm a little more understanding of a little bit, as I said before you came on, a little more understanding of what Sean McVay was doing. You got a far better thrower of the football, one of the best receiver in the world, who'd had another monster game, even though it wasn't him that you threw it to. It's 4th down. There's 4+ minutes to go. You're thinking, okay, even if we miss it, we can get the ball back. Because in truth, hell, they got after the quarterback yesterday too. They put the defenses in both games, even though the score in the afternoon one, the offenses put them in a bind at times. Seattle's didn't, because Darnold played flawless pretty much football. But I understood that one because of the time, JB, and the situation. You still were moving the ball pretty well, even though the defense did a nice job. But I still get it, because if you get the ball left, even with no timeouts, all you got to do, since the weather it didn't affect that one, obviously, like the previous effect, and it's allowed in Seattle, but give your field goal kicker a chance to win it. But I do get it more because just who the personnel you have on the field and the situation. Down 4, you think, well, if we get down 1, we can still go down the field and score. I do get it, but I'm more apt to take points in a situation that I trust my defense, because they got after it and did their thing a lot of times, but Darnold played pretty flawless football. I thought the game plan by Clint Kubiak, throwing it at times when nobody in the building expected, JB, I thought Kubiak called a hell of a game. I won't be surprised in this cycle if somebody's still trying to hire him when this Super
They
Bowl
are.
is
That's
over.
why they're waiting. That's why they're waiting for this to be over. I think that's what they're waiting on. Kubiak's number 1. Here's the issue I have. The Rams, nobody's talking about it. The tight end fucking dropped the ball. The game's over. The Rams win, by the way.
He's gonna go score on that catch. There's nobody there between him and the goal line.
It's 3rd and 1, and it's an old school distraction drill. Matthew Stafford put it where no one else can. The tight end dropped it on 3rd and 1, which is very predictable for McVay to just hand the ball off and run duo out of the same formation. He does it and gets caught sometimes, and he got a few first downs last night doing it. But then they play past it, and through the tight end, he drops the ball. And I know as a play caller and a head coach, the momentum is there. We had it. We dropped the damn ball. Go for it. That's what made him go for it. He dropped the damn ball that would have been a touchdown, or at least put him down around the 4 or 5 yard line.
Got into his feels, right? He got into his Payton's. McVay's feels, right?
Now it's like, we can score right now. Let's go again. Now it's 4th down instead. Just kick the point, take the point. And somebody in your chat said, why is no one talking about going for 2 down 31-26? Here's why. You don't chase points. It was 5 minutes left in the 3rd damn quarter. The Rams were scoring at will. It was a shootout. It was a shootout at that time. There's no reason to go for 2. So I'm not worried about the going for 2. We talked. I had 4 coaches at the house last night. We were talking about that. We were like, you don't chase points this early in the 3rd quarter. This was going to be a shootout. We thought it was going to be a 45-40 type of game at that point. It ended up being no more scores. So it is what it is. But you allowed Seattle to score again. And at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. That's what it is. Stafford, to me, still the best thrower of the football in the NFL. Sam Darnold's also the guy that I said he is, a really good top 5 talent in the NFL. and he's proven that to you. Now he got over the hump, Sean. He's got over his hump, which was the Rams and Matthew Stafford twice in a row, and I believe they belt to ass New England in the Super Bowl. I thought the NFC was going to win it regardless who won. Seattle, I think, beats a dismal offense in New England. New England's offense can only go so far. It won't be any weather. There won't be any snow. You're not going to have that. So I believe even though New England's only allowed 26 points all playoffs, great job as well. Their defense is very, very underrated. I think this offense is clicking, though, and Sam Darnold has too many weapons at his disposal for a New England team who can't match the points like the Rams can. That's why I think the NFC was going to win the Super Bowl regardless of who the opponent was.
Yeah, and Drake Mays, the passing game is going to have to be more relevant in this game because Seattle's defense can do what New England's does. They're capable of. They are. There is no doubt. You know, I had this argument, and JB, you and I have been on this for years about Sam Darnold. Loved him coming out of school. I had one of those banters on social media with a guy who actually re-brought it up this morning and said, "Sean, you were right." We used to argue about Sam Darnold all the time because when he came out, I said, "This is a guy who can play in a Super Bowl one day, and is going to be a great player." And then when he was going through it, you started to think, man, did I get this wrong? We went back and forth. And he didn't like him. He said, nah, he'll be a bust, blah, blah, blah. And I can remember going to Minnesota and think, well, this will be Darnold. If he doesn't play well in Minnesota, the chances for him to start moving forward are not going to be there because then it becomes, okay, it's now we're on his fourth team, even though San Francisco is a backup and learned. But I never talked to anybody, JB, you. I had the conversation with Orlovsky, a lot of people that know the position. You being one of them, myself, I've never heard one person when Darnold was in Carolina or when Darnold was in New York that still didn't believe he had star ability, that he could be a great player in the league. And here we are now. The guy is, comes in, doesn't say a word. There's no excuses throughout his struggle and no pat on the back through his success, just kept playing. And now we're seeing this is who Sam Darnold, that you and I and a bunch of people thought it was. And I didn't know if he'd ever get there after he left Carolina. The Jets in Carolina, but here he is. But my favorite thing about him is his resilience, man. And he's great talent. His feet are underrated. I think he can go on and play great. He was brilliant yesterday. He really was against a good Rams defense. I thought he played his ass off, spotted the ball well, his accuracy, and his ability to do stuff off schedule. He didn't make that one careless throw that at times he'll make because he believes in his arm. I think Sam Darnold's arrived, and I think we got a top 7, 8 arm guy, top 7 quarterback, 5 quarterback in the league the way he's playing. No doubt.
All he needed was a damn competent damn organization. I've been saying it since he was a job. I coached against him in high school, obviously. Been around him since he was a youngster. San Clemente High School. A good friend of mine was a head coach. We played him when I was a head coach in Long Beach High School at Cabrillo. And he beat us with 50 seconds left. He went 90 on us, and we had him beat. He's a guy, and I said he's a guy. I said the Jets and the Carolina Panthers, 2 of the worst organizations in football. You judge this guy. How many other quarterbacks have been judged by getting drafted by horrible organizations, and we never really got to see their maturation process? How many? We could name a lot. He's a guy that got saved by the grace of God, and the football God saved him by putting him on a competent organization. I said he was better than Brock Purdy, and Frisco messed up. They dropped the ball. They had an opportunity.
Minnesota definitely missed the boat on that one.
28 wins,
30+ million. Yeah.
I said, why would you take a guy you don't know anything about in J.J. McCarthy over a guy who just won you 14 games? Did he get beat in the playoffs? Yeah, whatever. But that's the first time he's been in the damn playoffs, and that's
I was gonna say, get in line. Who of us hasn't?
Yeah. Right? So man, come on. This is the team. He got over the mental hump now. The mental block's over now, though. Watch out, NFL, because this guy's a guy. And now you got a number 1 wideout, a top tier, top 3 or 4 wideout in football already with them. You're going to add more weapons with them, get them another receiver in this offseason. Their defense is already legit. You got a running back, 2 running backs. Charbonnet was hurt even, and they still got it done without the other back. Charbonnet.
I thought Walker was phenomenal. I did, man. I thought he did it all. Can't
tackle him. Takes rally tackling to tackle that guy. He shakes you in the hole. He shook the linebackers for the Rams. The Rams defense.
And he'll thump your ass too, JB. He will thump you, man. JB, it's interesting too about this in going through both of these games, and I continue to say it. It's quarterback play, a couple, 2 or 3 players in about 6 to 8 plays game, and look through the course of this, JB. Coaching decisions to go for it when they should have taken points. Missed field goals in games. Careless turnover. A poor call. A taunting penalty. Giving them another shot. a great play down at the goal line by Nakua. He makes great plays all the time for the touchdown to get him back in it. Miss on fourth down, going for it on fourth down. Darnold's throws to his left, some of the great throws he made. Walker making some phenomenal plays. Them get the Cooper Kupp's effort, on the catch and stretch to get the first down. Just you start to look in the place, the drop ball that you talked about, JB. When you add it up, there'll be about 10 to 12 plays in both games combined that you're like, or somebody knocking a ball down when somebody looked like they're going to have control and strips it away. Or an open field tackle. It doesn't come down to much, but when it does, the things I do know you have to do, you got to get off the field, you got to run the football, you got to be physical, and your quarterback's got to have the balls the size of a daytime burglar. And Darnold did in this game. He just did. Yep. So it happened in both, and
it was the best quarterback play for both QBs I've seen in a couple of years. Finally got to see two quarterbacks that played it the right way, know where they're going with the football. One's dead, two's not. Three's there. That's where we hit Cooper Kupp for the touchdown earlier. That was his third read. He came from the left to the right. He saw it was two men across the board, the red zone. He found the void. He found Cooper Kupp for a touchdown. Last year, he probably throws a pick, forces it, or takes a sack. That's the maturation of Sam Darnold now that he knows the offense. Now what we're going to see is the Jalen Hurts syndrome, because I'm sure they'll lose Kubiak, and now he'll have to deal with a new OC. So does he digress and have to learn a new system? That's the part of the NFL quarterback play that it continues to stay,
But his gift, he's so much more arm gifted than Hurts is when it comes to just throwing the football. Yeah. And I love Jalen as a winner, but you're right. Hopefully Sam's got to the point, certain quarterbacks, if you put any coach in front of Stafford, he'll succeed. And JB, you make such a good point. That is when you look at the difference in that and some of the other quarterback play you watch.
Yeah,
the two cats at night, it's just a different level.
Look at the AFC game and look at that game. I get a snow happening and all that, but even last week with Stafford had a 20 of 42 in a snow game in Chicago. You still never thought that this guy wasn't going to make a throw that mattered. And look at the touchdown that he threw. Like the quarterback play last night was good to watch, man. Again, for the first time in a long time, because you can't tell me that quarterback play is not atrocious right now across the board. And it starts in college, obviously, but that last night was a clinic that you and I used to watch every weekend back in the day. I mean, it doesn't matter who was playing. The quarterback play was so much better back in our day. So I'm glad to see it last night. I just wish McVay would have challenged that Cooper Kupp catch. I just wish he would have challenged. If you're gonna use a timeout anyway.
You don't want to leave that in your bag anyway, right?
I don't understand. Like the definition of a catch. We just talked about it last week on the tie pick with Denver Broncos and all that. Remember, the controversial catch last week was a catch and interception.
So you're not about the spot. You're about did he maintain it through the ground is what your problem is.
Yeah, because I'm reading the rule and you got to go through the ground to make a catch. He did not. So I'm trying to figure out. He rolled on top of the defender. He never had completion through the ground. And I'm reading the rule right here. I don't understand what a catch is anymore. And I wish they would have challenged it. And the ball never crossed the line. His ass was down. The ball never touched the line. You saw it from the sideline view. And I don't understand how you didn't challenge the spot or the catch. So there's two things going on here. And I'm very confused on how that happened. I'm very confused that the NFL rule allows for this to even happen. In a game like this, I don't understand how it's not automatically reviewed and I have to take a timeout, because in other games, they automatically review it and the announcer, you've heard it already say they've confirmed it or they said it's not a catch before the coach has to use a timeout. So are the playoffs different? I know the overtime rules are different, which is crazy in its own right. We go from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Like, what? Why is everything different? I thought it was the same.
Why can't you have uniformity? I don't understand why we don't have uniformity throughout it. It makes no sense to me. My head wants to explode every time I think about it. The Seahawks kept the Rams defense on the field on a lot of third down situations. They were really efficient. And like I said, at the end of the game, Kubiak's balls to run naked boots and even though it didn't work all the time, it worked a couple times. He did not back off from aggressiveness. And we always bitch about guys getting too conservative on offense or defense. And Kubiak played smart and they ran the ball when necessary with Walker. But getting back to that, JB, here's what it's so convoluted now. What you saw with Cooper Kupp, forget the spot. 15 years ago or whatever it is, of course that's a catch. Of course that's a catch. See what it's done now? We've gotten to the point now we got to survive the ground and go through. Okay, look at it. Catch, 1 step, 2 step. I'm talking about back when I was playing. 3 step, if that's Chris Carter. That's a catch. Oh, he hits the ground. He's still got control of the ball. Rolls over, the ball comes out. That would have been ground, can't cause a fumble. He's down on contact. When I was playing, that's a catch in the NFL. It's not even, we're not even questioning it. We didn't have review. We're not even questioning it. It's a catch. But you go back to Des Bryant, and it's happened a million times since then. Now we've got it so much that we're not sure, have any idea what a catch is. How in any game in the world, in normal football, I'm not talking, Jay, because I understand what your thought is of surviving the ground. But when I'm playing, you're not even, the opposing coach isn't even thinking that's not a catch. But we've got it to the point now that every ball that's caught, we're not sure if it's a catch or not.
But before that, though, Sean, we used to have to hand that motherfucker to the ref.
Right.
So that was a catch. Like, give the ball to the ref, and that was also a fumble. Give the ball to the ref. It wasn't the ground caused it or didn't cause it. It used to come up with the ball.
Yes.
You came up with the ball, Sean, or if you didn't come up with the ball, it was a fumble.
Right.
There was none of that crap.
The discrepancy between what's a catch and what isn't, what's a fumble and what isn't, is absolutely baffling to me. Are you? You said you think it's going to be a curb stomp, and we'll go over this a million times, but just on the surface, JB, do you believe New England's offense can score 3 touchdowns against the Seattle Seahawks on Super Bowl Sunday?
No. Seattle's definitely scoring 3 touchdowns.
Have these playoffs changed your mind, good or bad, about? I know that you like Drake May, as do I. What have these playoffs told you about him?
About Drake May?
Yes.
Got moxie, man. He makes throws when it matters. So, he had a bad game. Obviously, you want to count the snow, whatever. That's fine. But we've seen.
What did he take? Five sacks too, right? JB in the game. Yep.
Yeah, but he makes those 2 throws that he made in that game that are, dime pieces that actually helped him win the game. So, listen, is he ready there? He's year 2. If you had to redraft this thing, you'd be sitting there thinking a lot of people may take him as the number 1 overall quarterback, right? Like, if you're looking at it now in hindsight 2020. So, listen, I think he's doing enough for that team. They run the football. They play defense. They're doing what Bill Belichick did when Vrabel played for him. Vrabel obviously didn't coach for him, but he played for him. So he's actually using what he learned from Belichick as a player, using it as a coach. And Tennessee Titans, you should be kicking yourself in the nuts for losing this guy. And I'm glad that Vrabel's giving him a shit sandwich, because Tennessee is another organization that couldn't get it right. Got rid of a guy that took him and beat New England, actually, and Belichick. Vrabel did in the playoffs a couple years back. And now he's in a Super Bowl. 2 years removed from the head coaching job in Tennessee. He's now in a Super Bowl, year 1 with New England. What a job he's done with a team that I believe still lacks a little bit of offensive weapons. But May's getting it done. And but if he turns the ball over and takes 5 sacks this week, which he obviously, or 2 weeks from now, he could.
Yeah, they won't win
against that front 7 in Seattle. It's going to be a long night. I think it could be a 31-10 game.
His guts have shown me something, though, JB, even though his statistics haven't been great. The fact that he's got him here in year 2 with some help from his friends, and he's pretty unflappable, which I like, because I'm eyeballing him in good and bad, and he feels like the personality doesn't change. I'm really looking forward to this. And had you a bet these 2 were going to make it to the Super Bowl on a futures bet on Kalshi or something before the season started, you'd be sitting in a pretty good mode here with this matchup. And it is obviously a preview of the last time these 2 played each other in a Super Bowl again. I would imagine the call down the goal line will be different. All right, JB, let me get you out of here on this. Right now, one thing. The game plan, we'll talk ad nauseum over the next 2 weeks. If you had just one for either team, doesn't matter, one thing in the game that absolutely has to rear its head for either team to win, what is the one big key that says if this happens, that team wins?
If New England can run the football for over 120 yards, if they can run the football like they have been able to with the dual-headed monster they have and keep Seattle off the football field on offense, New England has a shot. If Drake
the offensive run game is the most important thing in this game for either side. Patriots run game. Because if they get 38 carries, it's dangerous for Seattle, is what you're saying.
Yeah, if you can limit Drake May, and if Drake May can throw it 20 times, 25 maybe, and you can run the football for 40, and you get 65 plays in that game, and it's 40-20 basically run pass, and you can keep Darnold off the football field because Vrabel wants to run the ball and play defense, if that's how they win the game. If you have to chunk it around 35, 40 times because Seattle's molly-whopping their O-line and they're stopping the run, you're in for a long night. And that's just that's real simple. That's what it is going to be, because Seattle's going to try to pass you off of their run game and threaten the field with Najigma Smith or whatever, and do that and try to get him loose. And you're going to probably match Gonzalez up with him in the back row, which is very capable. Listen, or was that his name? The corner for Oregon. If they can do that, I think they have a shot. If they don't, and they have to throw it around with Drake May in his first Super Bowl, I think it'll be a long night, because that means they're going to get the front seven to sack him 5, 6, 7 times. So that's the issue.
Nothing better than a good mollywop, number one. And in this game, 2 really, really good defensive coaches that are head coaches. You know how they want this game to turn out. Darnold's arrived, a chance for Drake May to arrive as we look forward to Super Bowl Sunday. We'll be on with JB plenty before then. My man, great stuff. I appreciate you, and we'll do this again. Thank you.
No doubt. All right, brother.
Great stuff. All right, you too, man. Let's bring in Segs. Yeah, Segs is, looking forward. I can tell you this. I still think with the way we talk, I know we talk about Puka and Chase and Jefferson. Jackson Smith-Njigba makes some plays every game, dude, with his hands. He is he's physical. He can escape. He's got separation. He's a precise route runner. This dude is a freak show. He really is. I mean, I know people know who he is, but, when it comes up, it's just like I watch him. He is, if the ball's in the catch radius, he is coming up with the football. He's a phenomenal player. So I actually look forward. I had a guy on Twitter, Segs, tell me, a friend of mine talked about, I hate the matchup, Darnold and Drake May, and didn't like it. And I said, for me, they both earned being here. I don't need Brady and Manning or Stafford and Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, an AFC Championship game, or Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. I don't need those guys in every Super Bowl if they weren't capable of getting their team here this year. And in both cases, sans maybe Josh Allen for the most part at times this year, but through the season, Drake May and Sam Darnold were better than Lamar Jackson, better than Josh Allen this year for the most part, even at times. I mean, you could say it. We're better than Burrow, better than Tua, better than Dak, better. I mean, the list goes on and on. So for me, I actually loved this matchup. Defensively, smart play callers. Control that they are don't beat themselves usually in games. They just don't. You saw yesterday, Denver and the Rams did a good job of beating themselves at times with whether it's a play call or a dropped pass. Those two teams didn't, and here they are. I actually love the matchup. Star power isn't what I watch Super Bowl for. It's guys who can play like stars when it matters, and both these teams have guys that are capable of doing it. Things. I thought it was a hell of a weekend. Both complete contrasts in both games, different, but it just goes to show you that a couple of mistakes in your season, and who knows when you go back. And I'm sure Denver and the Rams will be long suffering this offseason because of a few plays that let them down.
Yeah, Jackson Smith-Njigba, outside of Puka, has been the best wide receiver in football this year. And that one-handed catch he made where it just
phenomenal
was just, and then just to get his feet down, it was just one of those incredible catches that he's made all year. And coming out of Ohio State, he was this guy.
Whoa! Remember the 2 receivers sat out, and he went to the bowl game and caught like 16 balls.
Remember, he was basically stuck with Geno Smith as his quarterback, who had good seasons there in Seattle.
He's not Darnold.
He's not Sam Darnold. He's not, he's not one of these top quarterbacks. He doesn't have that type of arm talent to, in this playmaking ability that Darnold does to avoid the rush to get the ball to Smith-Njigba so many times. He's a terrific wide receiver.
Yes, he is. And Segs, remember when and I love precise and dynamic route runners, and JSN as Brady refers to him. regularly was, I mean, always. I mean, if you run a 12-yard route, he's running at 12 yards.
Yep.
Is the Patriots were left for dead 2 years ago. Everybody, it's going to take a long time after all that dominance. People wanted him to suffer. Suffering didn't last long. You brought the right coach in, got the quarterback. Isn't it amazing when you got an owner that pays and gets the right people? Hired Mike Vrabel. You got Drake May, and 2 years into Drake May's career and a rookie season for Mike Vrabel at New England, not a rookie coach. And here you are back in the Super Bowl, because what they've done better than anybody in the AFC this year, they just don't beat themselves ever. They just don't. Even when they're not explosive, not having a good game, they make you earn every bit of it. And Denver wasn't good enough yesterday to earn it in their own building in a snowstorm, period.
Yeah. If you want to blame somebody, blame the Titans for firing Mike Vrabel when it was clear he was not the problem.
Yeah. Sometimes you fuck it up, and there's a big and quite frankly, Tennessee hasn't recovered since.
No,
that's a fact.
Yep, and we'll see if they can this coming season. Sean, were you surprised, or I was surprised, excuse me, to hear that Sam Darnold's the first USC quarterback to ever start a Super Bowl? I had just thought it had happened. You know, I guess I didn't really think
Carson
about
Palmer was close with that when he blew out his knee. Remember, he hit that
close.
75-yard touchdown against Pittsburgh when he was in Cincinnati. Rodney, myself, started in playoff games. Leinart never did. Caleb hasn't yet. John Booty. Paul McDonald. You go back, Pat Hayden.
Yeah.
Hayden never, because when he was with the Rams, they never started in the Super Bowl there either. When Pat had a long career.
Sam's the very first one.
It's a hell of a point. And here's the irony. A guy who we all thought was as talented as USC's ever had coming out. And we thought, oh, this will be as big a bust. I'm talking about after the Jet. You're thinking people were just down on him, beating him into the ground, saying, oh, here we go again. And now after all that, the dude's won 14 games back-to-back years with his teammates, got him in a Super Bowl, and has got to be the favorite. I don't know. I didn't even look at the early line today, Segs, but I know you know they're going to be the favorite going into this, whatever that score is. But now he's playing at a level that no USC quarterback has consistently played at in his NFL career ever as well. It's pretty impressive. Good on Sam. It was great. It's great to see guys that don't make excuses and want to deflect all praise to him to make sure his teammates know how much it means to him. And there's got to be a little bit that the Vikings decided to go with the guy who I think still going to be a good player, but he wasn't ready yet, and let that happen. And look what Sam, instead of pouting about it and making excuses, goes and helps Seattle get to the next level. That guy's, if you know how you go through adversity, say nothing you can do phases me now. The Super Bowl's not going to phase him because he's been through plenty of it. I think Sam Darnold's arrived.
Yeah, and opening Super Bowl number is Seattle -4.5. So that is.
I think that's fair, especially after watching yesterday. That's fair.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Over the weekend, we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers get the heir apparent to Mike Tomlin. It's Mike McCarthy. Now they bring in a coach who has coached in Dallas, coached in Green Bay, won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Do you like the hire of Mike McCarthy for Pittsburgh?
Well, he feels like this is home for him, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's where he's from, that area.
That's right. And when you hear him talk, he talks, the Wanstead had that Pittsburgh accent. I got a buddy of mine who could do Wanstead and that Pittsburgh accent good. And I love it. Yeah, it fits. So, you know what, Segs? It's not risky. As much as you people dislike what Mike was hampered a bit in Dallas, Segs, by the owner and what went on there, as every coach is. But Mike's got a Super Bowl ring. Mike's been solid. I'm anxious to see all the staff. I think it's a good hire. And you know what? The reason why history tells you, now people on the surface want something more flashy and more sexy, but doesn't he epitomize what Pittsburgh is? Blue collar. I can picture him in the sandwich shop with the locals, grabbing a beer and a sandwich, eating it, talking, sitting there at the breakfast table with his biscuits and gravy, going coaching good football. It's not a risky hire. It's not a 30-year-old that doesn't have experience. It's not a 65-year-old reader. Mike's a good football coach, and it genuinely feels like a good guy. I've had a chance to meet Mike over the years, and I've always liked him. I think that there's a more stable ownership there. And I'm not talking about money-wise. I'm just talking about stable and secure. He's got the big shoes to replace, man. He does. But I almost feel like this is the perfect job. Mike's not pomp and circumstance. He never has been. When he was in Dallas, all the that goes around, and here we got another franchise that's a great historic franchise. But there's not a lot of chatter about, all the stuff. The ownership stays out of it for the most part. I think Mike will do well. Does it mean a Super Bowl? I don't know, Segs. I got to look at the staff. I got to find out if Aaron's going to be back, how the quarterback's going to be. Does Aaron want to come back now that Mike's there? All these things that you will question. I think it's a safe offseason hire for a guy who's not overly risky personality-wise. He's not risky as a play caller. He's not risky as a guy, and it's home for him. And the accent will come out even more when Mike's in Pittsburgh. He's got 9 and 8 and 10 and 7 written all over him every year. He can coach, and Mike's a good teacher. I know that for a fact. I think it's a solid hire. Not sexy, but solid. They could have done a lot worse, and you could have risked doing a lot worse if you'd have hired somebody you didn't trust. I think it's a solid hire, and Pittsburgh loves people that aren't going to disrupt the system. This is number 4 in about the last 60 or 70 years, and I'm sure Mike hopes it lasts as long as Mike Tomlin's did. I think it's a very solid hire. Safe.
Yeah. I came out when I saw it. I mean, my first thought, my very first instinct, I think I tweeted it right when I saw it, was gross. I don't know. I just expect the Steelers to do like they did and go try and find someone like Mike Tomlin in terms of where he was when he became a coach. And you're hoping to get a coach that can be a coach for 20 years. I mean, McCarthy's 62. I'm not saying he's old, but how much does he have left? Let's face it, he underdelivered or he underachieved with the Green Bay Packers.
His team underachieved in Dallas. There's no doubt.
And his team's underachieved in Dallas. That's what he is. Yes, he got the one Super Bowl where they had all the injuries, and that was a great Super Bowl win. But Aaron Rodgers is the reason you got that Super Bowl, because he put on his cape and was Superman for that team.
With about 10 guys hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were on the road during the playoffs.
So, I mean, that's where I guess I expected Pittsburgh to say, let's find that next guy. Let's find the guy who we can come in and be the guy that.
But that's not Pittsburgh. That's not Pittsburgh, though.
That's how they
like Mike Tomlin. Right. Chuck Noll was young when you hired him.
Yes.
It's what people don't realize. These guys were all really, really young, and they last a long time. Bill Cowher. But, Segs, move the age aside for 1 second. In truth, and I'm with you, it's like, oh, okay. The first thing that comes to people's mind is going to be retread. What did he do in Dallas? He had Aaron Rodgers. Well, maybe he goes and gets a rejuvenated Rodgers for one more year, or maybe they're fortunate in the free. Who the hell knows what they're going to do? But I do know this: Prescott put up some pretty decent seasons with McCarthy. You know what I'm saying? So he knows how to call offense. But you're right. I get your initial reaction.
But the team was still bad.
Right. Take away, no defense. I mean, and Jerry's still in charge. Think about this, Sags. Although he did have defense one year, wasn't that the year that Diggs led the league in picks and they were running around all over the place? But the dysfunction that goes on in Dallas is my point.
Yeah.
The one thing, if you took away the age, Sags, isn't this who Pittsburgh is? No, nothing. When you hired Cowher, wasn't flashy. Assistant to Marty Schottenheimer, came in there, played linebacker, not a star. Mike Tomlin was an assistant, really good. And then you get to McCarthy. Hell, McCarthy going in, probably more highly publicized than both Tomlin and Cowher, because both those guys were assistants first, right? Segs, right. He's been a head coach twice. So there's that. But when I look at it, and I get what you're saying about a guy maybe a little bit younger who you want to keep for 20 years. Maybe now we're shifting to Pittsburgh's thinking on a 10-year term, if they're fortunate, or 5 years. But doesn't this fit? Pittsburgh guy has blue collar written all over him in a tough, hard-nosed city with great fans. They don't like risk, man. The Steelers, they do not do risk. So you take away the risk. Mike's not a big risk. He's not going to be out sitting at the club. I'm not saying that. I mean, none of their coaches do. Everything about this says it's got the Steelers and Pittsburgh Steelers city and fans written all over. Now, I don't know how it's going to be successful, Segs. I don't know what's going to go on. I know the defense has got to get back to playing better, and he's got to hire a great staff. That will, if he wants to coach 10 years, this staff better be even better than your thoughts about him, Segs. You better come out of it, you saying, and Pittsburgh saying, damn, we like Mike, but we love the staff. Yeah. You better come out of this saying that. But the other stuff outside the age and what happened in Dallas, and it tells me Mike McCarthy knows how to interview well and had their ear when he went in.
Agreed.
This is on the surface exactly who Pittsburgh hires. Hard-nosed, and not a lot of ass kissing going on, and safe. That's who they are.
And you said it when you said I could see McCarthy going 10-7, 9-8 year after year after year. And it does. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it feels like they settled and they want to keep that streak alive of, always finishing above 500. And that's what this guy can do. He can get somebody and we can get us to 9-8 or 10-7 and hopefully have a shot at a playoff spot in the end. Instead, I guess for me thinking just from a fan standpoint of what I would want if I was a Steelers fan, I would want a guy that's going to come in and take a team that's not very good in a division with Joe Burrow, in a division now with Jesse Minter and Lamar Jackson, two teams that I think bounce back, assuming health next year, and become really good teams. I want someone that's going to come in and kind of reset. I don't care if we go 2-15 or whatever it is next season. Maybe that sets us up for the quarterback of the future. Because right now, yeah, you could bring back Aaron Rodgers. What else are you going to do? Are you going to go draft whoever, Ty Simpson at 22 or wherever you're drafting? Or are you going to go trade for Kyler Murray? Or are you going to bring back the ageless Aaron Rodgers who wasn't very good this year? I don't know. That's the way I'm looking at it. Like, I want someone that's going to come in here, rebuild this thing back to Pittsburgh standards of we're in the playoffs every year and we're fighting for a Super Bowl. And it just feels like they settled for, we're going to hope for 9-8, 10-7, and maybe sneak into the playoffs.
And I don't think the Steelers, Segs, judging from the Aaron Rodgers trading for Metcalf, just talking about last night, I don't think the Steelers, and I know what you're saying, no argument here. I just don't think the Steelers are ever a full reset. I don't think they ever think they're full reset. I think that they think they're a couple players away, a coach. You could have kept Mike Tomlin and still win. He wins every year.
Yeah.
I think they feel like they're a couple players away, and whether it's Aaron reinventing himself again or another quarterback away from being a playoff team. I think, hell, they're one win away from being it. That's right. I get what you're saying, but I don't think Pittsburgh. Right. Right. And maybe he can rediscover what Vrabel rediscovered in New England and do that for Pittsburgh. I don't know. I mean, the age difference is obviously different from Mike and Mike, meaning Mike Vrabel, Mike McCarthy. But the Steelers, you know how people talk about culture and what they believe in? I think the Steelers go through a checklist. I do. A checklist that boom, 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 he fits it. Does he fit into our box, right? It's like a recruit. If you're a 330-pound left tackle, you can play at Alabama. If you're a 270-pound high school kid, you don't fit into that box. So they fit people into a box, meaning this guy feels like a Pittsburgh guy. He is, lo and behold.
He is.
But I don't think they're a big I think they're a little bit of recalibration. I don't think they're a full-blown, oh my gosh, we're 3-14, and they weren't. But that thought process that goes into it, I don't think they are. Unlike Cleveland, who is interviewing coach after coach after coach, or wants to, and they're going to make you take assessment tests and all those things and ask you to put this triangle with this square and this circle and tell us which, and do the counting with a calculator instead of talk football and leadership, which is what your personality does. Get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry. Well, didn't have Corn Ferry hire him and go through that and let somebody else hire him? Listen, I want to know, can you lead? Can you get up on them? Can you get the hire assistant coaches that can teach? And can you command the building, man, and get more out of your players than you get? I really don't care if the Cleveland guy hires and he knows how to he knows the difference between a triangle, a rectangle, and a circle and how they work in an assessment test. That's not really how I'm judging my football IQ. Sorry, I know what happens in certain businesses. We've all taken assessment tests. I can assess by standing your ass in there and looking in your face and finding out who you are and talking to people in your background. And the Cleveland Browns just seem to not get it every year. They're looking more for a robot than they are a leader. And they still don't have. Hell, you'd have been just as good to pay Kevin Stefanski to stick around longer.
Yeah, and that's why the Browns continue to be the joke of the NFL. I mean, they are clearly the worst organization in the league. I mean,
that's saying something with the Jets and Raiders involved too.
Exactly. And I would rather be a fan of one of those two teams. And you talk about all the tests. We saw Mike McDaniel back out, and he has officially taken the Chargers job. He is the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. You've got Jesse Minter withdrew before, got the Ravens job. Grant Yadinsky, the young coordinator, he withdraws from the Browns job. I don't know who's going to take the Browns job besides somebody that maybe feels desperate to get back one more chance to be a head coach, but you're walking into basically a dumpster fire. I mean, the only good thing you really have is you have a decent rookie class, but you have Myles Garrett. And why Myles Garrett signed an extension in Cleveland is mind-boggling. It's like him just saying, like, yeah, I never want to play in the playoffs. I just want to never again. I never want to be in the playoffs again. I just like playing 17 games, and I'm good with that. Just pay me a lot of money, and I'm good with that because that's what it feels like now, just watching the circus that is the Cleveland Browns.
You know who I want to take assessment tests and personality tests? Listen, can't I sit down with you? I mean, talk to people. I always, like I said, I want information. But Segs, I've taken these assessment tests before. You roll through them and you're like, sometimes you like laugh at them and don't take them serious. I mean, we're at a stage, a 50-year-old coach or a 40-year-old walks in and says, hey, dude, do you realize you're dialing up a play? But if you don't know this plus this minus this plus all the little in a questionnaire, or you try to figure out personality, what would you do? Are you a better dog? What if you're a dog? What would you be and why? Are we really doing this to find out who my best leader is? I get in certain situations you want to assess where to put them. You're in a sales job. The person's never been in a sales job. You want to assess if they can sell. You know how I do that? I'd stick you in front of me in a doggone room with people, and we role play with sales. Now get him up on the board. Talk to me. It's 3rd and 7. I mean, right now, 3rd and 7. Coach, it's 4th down. You're down 4. You saw the game last night. What are you doing in this situation? I will find out that real life, real stuff situation instead of this. Here's what I want. I want Andrew Berry and that whole organization that's making decisions. I want them to take the assessment test I give their dumbasses, not dumb IQ-wise, but with this dumb stuff that you can't get a guy who's looking to be a head coach and they don't want to interview because they don't want to be a part of this. I want them to take the assessment test, say, oh, you're trying to hire a guy, yet we didn't assess you good enough to be in position to hire a guy. I mean, it's from ownership or the scouting department or whoever's there. It's just the thought process of, dude, this isn't a sales team. You got to have leaders that are in the building, because if we were doing that, then I guess the SAT test is the only way to judge your quarterback coming from high school to college and see if he's going to be any good or your coach. Listen, time and a place for it. If you're my analytics guy, I'd hope that you have something to do. You understand math from Harvard. If you're my head coach, number one, I need to know that you can walk in the building and lead and handle pressure. I really don't care about your questionnaire or what beer you drink and what dog you decide to have. Okay. Cleveland continues to miss the boat on this, and maybe they'll hire the right guy. I feel bad for Browns fans because they're probably looking at assessment. Fuck your assessment test. Can you drink a cold beer? Can you lead? And can you win? That's how I want to figure it out.
Well, I just looked up the odds for the next Browns head coach, and it currently sits overwhelmingly, as some reports are saying, they're zeroing in on Nathan Shieldhouse, who is the pass game coordinator for the Rams. Sean McVay does all the play calling. Sean McVay, they have an OC. They're going to go get the pass game coordinator, who's a young, good offensive mind. I get it, but he's never even been an offensive coordinator. Never even been a coordinator that calls plays. Now he's going to run an entire team. And, I mean, he's pretty young, is still at just 35 years old. Went to Illinois. I remember him as a quarterback there, watching him. And and the number 2 guy on the list is Jim Schwartz, their current defensive coordinator, who is under contract for another year and has been a head coach and failed as a head coach already. Those are basically your 2 options. And then a small percentage was Todd Monken on the list.
Are you issuing your questionnaires and personality tests to your corner, your tight end, your quarterback, your running back? Are they doing the same for every player? If you're going to issue it to the coach, I guess I need everybody to take it. So we're going to go back and have LSAT study so we can hire the coach so he understands what 2 + 2 is.
Maybe
if he doesn't know how to count, if he can count to 11, if you can count to 11, okay, we can interview you. But I need to know personality test. Dude, I am sorry. Well, Sean, why would that be any different than a sales job in a tech world or something? It's just different. It just is. It is. For those of us who've been in both, whether it's been in the corporate world and going through that with a coat and tie on, or in television or playing sports in locker rooms, or all 3 of those different. There's different ways to find out what you're looking for. And I'm convinced that some guys, when they see this, are like, really? Assessment and personality, and you want additional homework? My homework is winning you football games. I'm not going, what's the assignment? Write a sentence. Dog loves Spot. Spot likes dog. Dog loves cat. House is clean. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Can I have a little bit? Anytime, it's like when government gets into sports, and when you throw personality tests at me, sakes, I'm not talking about the mental, like your pre-draft tests that you do, like they do on guys to find out the stability of it. I'd like to think that we have a pretty good idea that if he's interviewed for your head coach, you've done your due diligence. I'm not interviewing a guy I don't know anything about. I've already done my due diligence on the guys that are coming into the room. I'll get my crack staff to go in and find out, and I'll do some due diligence. And then when they're in there, I need to set them down and look in their face. Otherwise, stay your ass home. We'll do a Zoom call, and we'll take a personality test over the phone. What?
Well,
Cleveland Browns continue to baffle me, man.
Here's the only thing you really need to know about the Browns is Andrew Berry, who's in that picture right there, is still running the team. He's been doing it for 5 seasons, since 2020. Traded for Deshaun Watson, gave up a shitload of picks and everything. Oh, and then gave him $230 million fully guaranteed while he was being investigated for all this stuff, all the masseuse and the touching and all the bad stuff that he did. And then he got
you might want to give him an assessment test. You might want to give that guy an assessment test.
Yeah. This guy is still running the organization. But Sean, let me ask you this. If you're Nathan Shieldhouse at 35, are the Browns the team you want to start your head coaching journey on?
Thanks, but you made the point, though, and you made a valid one. Sometimes, you know what, Coach, there's that group that thinks it doesn't matter if I pass this up, Ben Johnson, I'm going to get another opportunity because they just know their team they're on that's going to present itself. I've been around, Coach. They don't know if the opportunity is going to present itself again. So I've never been a head coach. I've got an opportunity. I'm going to be the guy who turns this around. And then after 3 years, and you're getting your ass kicked up and down the field, if that's the case, and they don't get good players in a non-dysfunctional front office and get it done right, well, guess what? And the Browns fans, I've said before, I love those fans. They always have. Then you get fired from that one, and everybody knows you're damaged goods. You went there, couldn't win. So yes, there is that. But Segs, there's that insecure part of all players and coaches say, what if I don't get the opportunity again? And then there's the ego part of it that says, I've been hanging around, McVay and Stafford is the whole group, and I know this. I've learned it. I'm ready for this job. I'm gonna go set the AFC North on its ear, and you get in with all that. But you got to know and you got to read the room. And right now, the room you're reading in the front office in Cleveland ain't a good one, brother. It ain't a good one. So I would think twice. If you're confident in that, one more year with Stafford and that group may do you well. Especially, not only are you ready to take and go fix Cleveland, if you're not calling the plays, are you really ready to be that guy, Segs? Do you got to check your own self and say, listen, I'm young. Let me go learn one more year with this brilliant head coach I got now and see if I can't prepare myself one more year and then something else comes up. And most coaches I know don't pass. That's why it's shocking that so many people are turning down interviews and taking themselves out of the running in Cleveland. They obviously know something we think we all know, but why would you turn a head coaching job down possibly to go be a coordinator? That's called leadership in the building, isn't where you want it to be when you go to Cleveland right now.
Well, and it just feels like, we have 7 to 8. This year we had 10 jobs open every single year. There is no more where, you might have to wait 3 years just to get an offer. Now it's like these guys are
or an interview just to get an interview.
They're interviewing every year, and it's like you can be a little picky if you're Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen and whatnot. So
there'll be an assessment test.
Owners fire coaches. You could probably sit back and just be like, yeah, I'll get a chance somewhere.
There's going to be an assessment test and personality test for our team tomorrow, Segs, pre-show.
I'll be ready. I'm studying.
And if you don't choose the right dog, then I'm taking you out of the running to host today.
Yeah.
Are we serious about this?
I might withdraw from tomorrow's show.
Oh, of course, and I don't blame you. If I do that, not only will I withdraw, but I'm quitting if I have to get to that point, okay? If that's what it's going to take to know what you're hiring.
All right, that'll do it for today. But first, our bet of the day. Let's look at
by the way, under and over both hit.
Yep.
Both games.
Yep.
And straight up winner, Seattle and New England. So if you bet on what we did this weekend, you made yourself a nice chunk of money because hit on all 4.
I did.
And it was a good one. I don't want to brag, but we did. Let us bet just for a second.
Let's look at Kalshi's future bet for the Super Bowl. Right now it sits with where did it go? There it is. Seattle at 67% chance to win the Super Bowl, and then you have New England obviously at 33. Do you like the odds, or are you going to say those odds are good enough that I think New England can compete in this game and maybe sneak a win out and give me some good money there for early lines? What do you like that?
4.5. And I'll tell you what I do, Segs, because there's a part of me that thinks the New England history that number may go down, even though I think Seattle's the better team. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And it's at 4.5. So if you're doing it and you like New England, it might be the time to jump on it now. Right now on the surface, if I was betting my money, I would take Seattle and I'd lay the points at 4.5. As much as I love doing it, I would lay the points today, but I'm not making that bet right now because I'm not overly comfortable. There's still some, I understood the insecurities that go with it, but I think Darnold's past that. My whole thing is, will they be able to muster up enough offense to beat Seattle? Even though with all the things that go on, I do think Seattle can muster up 24 points in a game right now, and I know the weather came into play. I'm not sure New England can, even though I think Drake May's moxie and poise, and when things are going good, if the weather's right in San Francisco, he can spin it. I like the guy more than some do, and Sam Darnold hadn't been in a Super Bowl. As good as he's been in the postseason, saying it's still a Super Bowl in it. I remember Aikman will tell a story about his first Super Bowl, and Troy was as poised as it gets. Everything was the same all year long. I mean, all year long in the game, pre-Super Bowl, and I think it was the Rose Bowl was his first Super Bowl. Maybe it was the Buffalo game. And Troy came, he pregame warm up with the same, ate the same, all the things he does. And then he waited in line to run out for a lineup. He started hyperventilating basically, and you run out there because you're running out to be introduced, right? Then you got to go out and get hit. But it does exist, even with guys that are so poised like him. It'll rear its head. I don't think there's a major difference between the two teams, although I do like Seattle's offense better. And we say that, and the number 2 guy in the league is the MVP. Drake May is going to finish second. Darnold going to finish the top 5 Segs, I guess, somewhere in there, or what have you. It's still real. You start to get more. If this goes the other way, then jumping on. Then you're saying, well, if you think Seattle, it's going to go the other way, and then the number is going to be bigger. Well, then you're going to sit there and say, okay, let me hold on. What do you think, real quick before we go? You think the number comes down because of the New England history and Vrabel's defense? Or do you think it goes up because the offensive production you saw from Seattle and it becomes a 6-point spread or 6.5 instead of 4.5 by the time we tee it up in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I could see it. I think what we'll see over the next 2 weeks is the numbers start to come down some, but then I think it will creep back up and be in that 4 to 5 range.
Closer to the game, like when the Sharks start to bet their money?
I think it may end up right at 4.5 when it's all said and done, but I think we could see it come down some to over the next week or so, and then start to move up.
I think the numbers that Kalshi's got and the percentage of what you said is 67, almost 70% Segs, so above 65% of trending towards Seattle in this futures pick. Yeah. I think that's about right now because I'm feeling the same way. But the head coach in New England and those guys love Super Bowls regardless. Number 12 ain't there, and neither is Belichick. But the head coach that learned well, and the quarterback they got now looks like 2 years into the league, he's better than Brady was 2 years into his career. So we'll see. Favorite Seattle, and I understand it, but I'm keeping an eye on where that goes for sure.
Yeah, and one thing we'll talk about tomorrow is the path that Drake May's had to go through when you talk about the Chargers, the Texans, the Broncos, and now the Seahawks. What do all those defenses have in common? They're really fucking good. Yeah. I mean, really
he's able to squeeze it out some way, somehow with some clutch plays.
They figured out a way to win, and I think that's where I give a ton of credit to a guy like Mike Vrabel, where he just figured it out in all these games how to win, and they did just enough. We'll also talk about Phillip Rivers and his decision for his coaching future. College jersey patches, they're coming. That's just more money to spend on NIL.
You and I talked about this a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
That at some point in time, one of those betting things, and it will be, they're going to be, it's going to be NASCAR is exactly what I said. Yes, NASCAR is coming. It's like a minor league baseball field too, Segs. You know how they'd have, or back when you were growing up on the wooden fence, They'd have
Yeah.
the sponsors for the kids, that like the local hardware store. It's coming, and it's on your. Why? They're maximizing every ounce and every inch they can. The question is, are you allowed to go out as a player and get your own individual deals? For instance, let's say you're Sam Darnold and somebody wants to pay $5 million to put a patch on your jersey. Who approves it? And is there a rev share? Is there a rev share with the NFL, the team, and the player? Or does the player just have to wear what they tell him to? He's like, dude, they put this on my jersey. Are they individual, or is it like, okay, you're sponsored by DraftKings, they throw it on everybody's, or you're sponsored by, or your shoe company, whatever it is, or you wear Rolex. Do you get it on yours, but nobody else does? Can you go out and actually drum up your own commissions from this in a rev share?
The NFL,
why not?
The NFL
Get
still
those guys
doesn't
to
allow
sell
certain,
Mortimer. Sell.
You can't put a sticker on your helmet that's for cancer awareness unless it's everybody's wearing it and it's approved through the league. They'll never allow you to have your own sponsorship on your jersey, at least not in the NFL. College, yes, I think it'll be team based where we will, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. And then also the big topic tomorrow, we got a new Pro Bowl quarterback, and you'll never guess who it is. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. Thanks to Triple E, Laura Bailey. Don't even guess yet. Thanks to Triple E, Laura Bailey, as always. Follow Sean at Sean Unfiltered, me at Adam G. Sager, and go like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Unpaved Sean Salisbury. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. We'll talk to you guys then. Peace.
Unpaved, Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, a great NFL analyst, a former NFL quarterback.